lucky for us, we get to hear from Reverend Dr. Michele Whittington today. So you might be familiar with this lovely woman, and if not, let me introduce her to you. Reverend Dr. Michele Whittington's vision for her life is to travel her ever-ascending spiritual journey and serve others with love, compassion, and humor as they travel theirs. She served as senior minister of Creative Living Fellowship, a religious science church and teaching center here in Phoenix, for almost 22 years. And she stepped down from the pulpit almost 6 years ago and now actively lives her vision through her company, Unleash Your Life Consulting, and by serving as the executive director of the affiliated New Thought Network. Yeah. Dr. Michele is the author of From Our Hearts to Yours, Stories and Lessons on Conscious Loving, Conscious Dying, and Conscious Living, which chronicles her storybook relationship with her beloved Lonnie. From their meeting through his terminal illness to her very different and yet wonderful life after his transition, and all of the powerful lessons that occurred along the way. Please help me welcome Dr. Michele.
And I love you too, and I'm so happy to be here this morning. Ooh, I feel a little hot. Spicy hot. Maybe not in the way we want to be right now. Is it all right if I set this right here? May I? Okay, thank you. An invitation to a new vibration. Thank you so much, Mark. I can't see you, but I know you're out there somewhere. Perfect song to set up where we're going to go today. Because I want to know if you have ever been invited into a new vibration, and that came in the form of some invitation to do something big. Maybe it came in the form of a divine idea, and instead of a reaction of, oh yeah, you had a reaction of, oh no way. I can't do that. Anybody ever have that? Let me just see. Yeah, okay, good. Good. I'm so happy that I can speak to some of you. That's good. The rest of you just hang around for a while. And then maybe, let's see if this happened. So you had the no way, I can't do that, nope, too scary, too big, nope, nada, But it wouldn't let you go. It kept nagging you. It kept in you. It was there. And so you started thinking like, okay, maybe I need to give this some consideration. Maybe I need to think about this a little bit more. Maybe I should do it. Maybe it would be powerful for me to do it. And so you say, okay, I will. Anybody ever have that? You kind of walk through that won't and got to a will. Oh, fewer hands, by the way, I just saw. That's curious. Fewer hands just went up. All right, well, for those of you who went to the I will part, and if you haven't had this happen yet, you will. You get to the I will, and then all these roadblocks get thrown up in your face. This happens and that, and boulders. I love that image, by the way, Maureen. Thank you so much for that image. Boulders get put in your way, and you think, well, now, I thought I was supposed to do this. I felt like, I got to the place that I was a yes, and now I don't know. Am I supposed to? Am I not supposed to? I don't know what to do. And you do whatever process you do, and you wind up either doing the thing or not doing the thing. So I want this morning to tell you about that very experience I recently had. From won't, to will, to roadblocks, to I'm not, to I did. So is that okay if I talk about that this morning? Yes. I'm so happy you said yes, because if not, I wasn't sure what we would do today. So let's first talk about the I will, or excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, the I won't. I was invited in October of last year. I was asked to attend an invitation-only leadership retreat in Ahmedabad, India. It was an honor to be invited to attend this. There were 40 leaders from around the world invited to attend this retreat, and it was based on Gandhian principles, leadership principles. And I was invited to come. And I will tell you and be frank and honest with you here, because I always like to be frank and honest, and that is I had a big, oh no, no. Going to India has never been on my bucket list. I know it's on many bucket lists. I know there are people in this room who have been more than once, but I never wanted to go to India. It scared me. It was too much, too chaotic, too difficult, too this, too that, too far away, all of that. And while I consider myself a fairly independent person, traveling halfway across the world by myself did not sound like fun. So I had an internal no, not going to do it, no way, But I didn't say no to the invitation yet. I said what often we will say, that is truth, but it also can be a little bit of a stalling technique. I don't know if you've ever used this or not, but let me pray on that. Right? Oh, those of you who are laughing have used that as a stalling technique. But the truth is I actually did pray on that. And I meditated. And then I did a really powerful process in a women's class that I teach. I see a couple of my girls, actually, who were in that class, in that night where I asked a question. We all asked a question, but mine was related to India. And the question that I asked was, what are the gifts and opportunities that this experience would afford me? And in that class, I got what I like to call a full body yes. From head to toe, I had this moment of, I cannot not do this. Because I don't know what it's going to bring, but I know it will bring life transformational experiences. So I cannot not say yes. So the one thing that I want to do here this morning is give you some learnings and deep spiritual knowings and practices that I walked through in this journey. And I just gave you the first one, but I'm now going to punctuate it and underscore it. And it was this practice of asking that very question. What gifts and opportunities might be in this experience? And the divine in us, the divine through us, the divine as us has an answer to that question. But we have to ask it. We have to ask it in order to get the answer. I love this statement from Ralph Waldo Trine. Not Emerson, I probably got you on that one, didn't I? Ralph Waldo Trine, who wrote many New Thought books, and in his book, In Tune with the Infinite, he said, there is an inner spirit or guide that rules and regulates our lives when we are brought into that state or condition whereby it can make itself known. That question, what gifts and opportunities are being presented for me here, helps create the state or condition so that that divine spirit and guide can make itself known. And it made itself known fully in me, and that was yes. Okay, so I got the yes. Now, here's what I have learned, and it happened for me here. Even though you get a yes, even if it's a full body yes, even that everything in you says, yes, this is mine to do, that does not mean the fear will go away. Darn it. It's supposed to. If I know I'm supposed to do this, the fear should not be there anymore. I like to stomp my feet now and again. It doesn't really do much good, but I do it anyway. The fear won't go away. I learned that powerful lesson when I walked on fire with Edwene Gaines. Many of you know her. She's a great prosperity teacher. And I did this not decades, but at least a decade ago. And she taught us a lesson that is spiritual deepening number 2 for you, that I have lived by a lot, and I lived by here. As I had a yes, but I'm still afraid. And what she taught us was that fear feels like a wall that you cannot walk through. But If you, here it is, take a breath, expect the best, and take the first step, you will find that that wall of fear is really just a veil, which you can walk right through. Take a breath, expect the best, take the first step. I have to quote Ernest Holmes sometime today, or they'll throw me out and will never invite me back again if I don't quote our founder, Ernest Holmes. And in 365 Signs of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, "We should all learn to live in a state of joyous and enthusiastic expectancy. This is the principle on which faith, or the answer to prayer, is based." Expect the best, because that's the principle on which answered prayer is based. So that's my second deep spiritual. All right, so here's the truth. I already knew these things, right? We know, if we've been coming here for a minute, we know these things, but the question is, do we practice them? And in this journey, I'm proud of myself to say I actually practiced what I preach, which is really a good thing. That is a really good thing. We don't always do it, but in this case, I can say I did that. So that's spiritual lesson number 2. When you're hitting that wall of fear, even though you've gotten a yes to move forward, take a breath, expect the best, and take the first step. So my first step was to say, I will. Okay, I will. I will go to India. I will make this trek. I will. And so the preparation started. And one of the things that needed to happen for me, well, for anyone who was going, you need to have a visa to go to India. And I will not bore you with the details of the arduous journey about that, but I will tell you that not once, but twice, I got rejected for the visa. It must be my shady past. I try to keep that hidden, but apparently they found it. I don't know why. They don't tell you why. You just get an email that says, we've processed your application, status, rejected. Twice. So the people that I was working with to help me through this process, the people from the organization that was sponsoring this retreat, said, all right, we got to go a different route. So here's roadblock, twice, 2 roadblocks, boulders in my way, in my path. I think I'm supposed to go, but what's happening here? So they said, here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go through the consulates, the Indian consulate in San Francisco. We're going to go that route, not going to go the route we've been going. And you have to fill out a whole new application. It's a whole big arduous, that's a journey right there. Keep taking the steps. And you're going to have to mail the packet to the San Francisco consulate, the Indian consulate in San Francisco. And in that packet, you have to include all this documentation, all this paperwork, photographs, your firstborn child, and, which was more important to me than my firstborn child because I don't have one, so I was okay there. Your passport. You have to mail in your passport. Fear, again, popped up. Take a breath. Expect the best. Take the step. I put it in. Sent it away. Now, here's the deal. This was 10 days before I was supposed to leave by now because of all the happenings. 10 days before I'm supposed to get on a plane and go to India. I send this in. And I had called the consulate. I had to talk to them about a few things. And they said, well, let me just tell you, ma'am, that it takes at least a minimum of 15 days to process an application. I said, well, I have 10. They're like, well, I'm telling you, it takes 15. Okay, I'm going to mail it in anyway. So I sent it in. Third spiritual deepening. Are you ready for it? Taking notes? Here it comes. Trust. Trust and surrender. Take a breath. Trust life to be unfolding exactly as it should. And surrender. Surrender the process, surrender the outcome. Because what I knew is when I put that packet in the mail 10 days before I'm supposed to leave, I had done everything I could possibly do. I had taken my human steps. And now, and this was my attitude, if this is mine to do, and I think it is, but if it really is mine to do, then this will happen. I will get the visa. If it is not mine to do for whatever reason that I may or may not ever understand or know, I trust that that is right. I trust. Trust life and surrender. Probably the most powerful lesson in this whole thing for me. Trust life and surrender. So 10 days before I sent it in, on the 8th day before I'm supposed to leave, I get an email from the San Francisco consulate saying, your visa application has been processed, and we are returning your documentation. Period. Period. Now, while there was no indication if I got it or not, there is a miracle here. Do you see the miracle that happened? How many days did they say it was going to take them to process it? How many days did it take? It actually took one, because it got there. I sent it 10 days before. It got there 9 days before, 8 days before they told me they'd processed it. 1 day. It took them 1 day to process it. Miracle. No matter what the answer is, there is a miracle. There is a miracle. So, here we go. The Monday before I'm to leave on a Saturday. Wait, I have visual aids. This came in the mail. Here it is. Drum roll. I didn't have a drummer at my house, but thank you. Drum roll. I love it. I rip it open. I look with anticipation, of course. First and foremost, very, very grateful to have this back. So happy to have this back. But what the heck? I have to confess that was not the language that I used. But I'm in church, and we got new people here, so I'm not going to say what I actually said. I'm looking at my passport. Well, I've got my passport back. I'm looking through it. Okay, universe, I guess I'm not to go. And I trusted and I surrendered, and I was so grateful, honestly. I had this moment of gratitude for every single one of those lessons that I got to live. And so I'm going to add a fourth one now to the three I've already told you, and that is be in gratitude no matter what the outcome. No matter what the outcome, be in gratitude. I was grateful to have this back. I was grateful to be invited. I was grateful for those experiences and deepening into the practices that I know to practice and that I got a chance to practice. One person that I told that I'm not coming, I told a lot of people I wasn't coming. Some of you are sitting in this room. Well, I didn't get it, so I'm not going. One person I told was a man who was helping me through all this. He lives in India, and so I texted him at noon our time, which was 12:30 a.m. their time. And I just texted him. I said, I didn't get it. I'm not coming. So he was sound asleep at 12:30 at night. About 6 p.m. my time, I get a text from him, and I can read the urgency in his words. I hear the in his words. His words were, have you looked thoroughly inside your passport? Have you looked at every page? Like, well, I looked. I'm saying to him as I'm reading his text. But he said, did you thumb through and look through every single page? And so I started going through it. OMG. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there, smacked in the middle, on a page, is a visa for 10 years, by the way, for India. So the Monday before I was supposed to leave, I said, I'm going. And so we move to the I did. we move to the I did. And in the time I have left, I want to tell you one of the myriad of life-transforming concepts I heard, experiences I had. But before I tell you that, I want to reiterate, and I want your help, okay? I love audience participation. I used to like at my own church to throw chocolate when people answered the questions right. I did not bring chocolate here, darn it. But what was the first one? When you're facing a won't, what is a good question to ask? I heard it. Thank you. What gifts and opportunities are being presented here? Number one. Number two, even if you get a yes and you're still afraid because you might be, what are you going to do? What are the three things? Take a breath. Expect the best. Take the first step. And that wall of fear will turn into a veil. Number three. Nice. Trust life and surrender. Number four. Gratitude. No matter what? No matter what the outcome. Right. And now I'm going to add a fifth, and then I'll get to the did. The fifth one is be willing to look beyond what you think you can see, because the miracle might right be in plain sight. It was in my passport all along. It was there all along. I just didn't see it. Be willing to look past and beyond what you think you see, because that miracle might be right there. Do not let me leave today without taking that. Rachel, you're on that, okay? Rachel, you've been assigned. You've gotten my passport assignment. Thank you. All right. So one of the amazing things now that I'm in my did, won't, will, did, was learn about a concept. And those of you who were at the women's meeting last month, I spoke there. This is going to be a repeat for you, but this bears repeating. One thing that I learned, one concept that we talked about a lot, was soul force. Gandhi had significant, massive soul force. What is soul force? It is an inner strength, an inner knowing, an inner wisdom, which we have when we abide in the eternal. I want to say that again. Soul force is an inner strength, an inner knowing, an inner wisdom when we abide in the eternal. Ernest Holmes referred to soul force when he said this: let us know that the kingdom of God inhabits every soul. No one has ever tried and failed in a conscious cooperation with the universe itself. That's the power of soul force. It was because of Gandhi's soul force that he was able to non-violently free India, gain India's independence from England, and do many, many other things, frankly, many other things. It was because of his soul force. And I have stories of Gandhi's soul force that we heard and learned, but I want to tell you one that's not actually about Gandhi, but that probably moved me more than anything else, and I was moved a lot. I was moved a lot, but this one is the one. This story is what will live with me forever. And it's a story about some Buddhist monks who had powerful soul force. And this happened in 1977, and these Buddhist monks were at a monastery in LA. One of their spiritual practices, the way they deepened into their soul force, was to bow. Now, I don't mean bow. I mean on your knees, head to the ground, bow. That was part of their meditation, their spiritual practice. These two of the monks from this monastery decided they wanted to do something to support peace, to exhibit peace, to emanate peace, to spread peace. And the way they decided to do that was to take a journey from LA to the city of 10,000 Buddhas, which is located north of San Francisco. That's about 800 miles. They decided to take a trek, a walking trek. Oh wait, let me say that differently. It wasn't quite a walking trek. It was a 3 steps and a bow. 3 steps and a bow. 3 steps and a bow. 800 miles, 2 years and 9 months it took them to do that. And along the way, they were met with great love and kindness and care. They had children giving them their lunch bags for them to have something to eat. They had people inviting them into their homes to spend the night. But they also encountered a lot of not that, a lot of misunderstanding in the form of jeers and things thrown at them and words thrown at them. And in all of it, they, through their soul force, maintained a consciousness of peace and love. And they took their 3 steps and they bowed. One experience happened to them when they were still in LA. There was a gang, and there was an initiate of this gang. And you may be familiar with gang tradition, I guess I'll call it. Might not be the right word, but that someone who wants to be initiated into the gang has to do something, and it's something violent. So this is what they said to this initiate. Your job to get into this gang is we're going to find where these priests are. We've heard about them. We're going to find them. We're going to circle them, and you're going to take a bat and you're going to beat one of them. That's what you're going to do to be initiated into our gang. And he's like, okay, I'm in. So they found the priests. They were walking 3 steps and bowing. They circled them. The one young man had a bat. He walked to the center where the priests were, the monks were, and all the gang members were, get him, get him, get him. And he held up his bat to do it. And he could not strike. It's not that he chose not to. It's not that he decided this is not a good idea. He physically could not strike. His hand would not move. That is the power of soul force. So our spiritual journeys might not take us on a trek 800 miles to take 3 steps and bow. That may not be our journey. But I ask you this morning, what is your journey to deepen your soul force? I suggest that these ideas that we've experienced this morning might be part of that journey. But whatever your journey is, I honor it. I celebrate it. And I want to offer you this morning, in sacredness of your journey, this. And so it is.